All right, y'all. Welcome back and happy Sunday. It is New Mexico State week. Got some opening thoughts on them. Haven't watched them play, but the record's not that good, so I feel like we should be fine in that game. I have some more thoughts, of course, that we'll get to more like towards the end of this. But I want to talk about some other things, man, like college football playoffs for 2025 for this season. It's some people, there's some Tennessee fans that feel like we do have a chance, and we do. I mean, we definitely have a chance. I'm going to show y'all how that looks. We'll break that down. NIL, revenue sharing, and where Tennessee's at, maybe versus the competition in this offseason. I think that we're in a pretty good spot. So with all that being said, y'all, please do us a favor. Please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And we are going to go on ahead and get started. So I guess we can kick it off with the playoff picture. But first, let me tap into the chat. I see that there's several coming in here. So this one is from William. Thank you for joining us, William, on a great Sunday. I know that football's being played right now, NFL football. My Falcons are actually playing now, and I'm so sick and tired of watching bad football, y'all, that I can't even stomach it anymore. We need to make some moves there. But William is saying that he got to finally catch a live show. Yeah, man, happy to have you here for sure. And y'all don't be shy. Y'all can chime in. I'm gonna try to get to every single one of them. So he's also saying that he likes our content and likes our videos. Thank you for that. Always great hearing that because we do put a lot of work into the content that we bring to everybody. And shouts out to the members, man, for sure. So he's saying he's learned a lot from us. And thank you. What else is he saying here? Rocky Top. Yeah, love that. Love that energy. This one right here is saying go Vols, go Big Orange. From my dog. What's the deal, bro? Happy to see you in here. And from Dog is still rocking with us. Can Tennessee beat Vandy? Yeah, so I feel like Tennessee can. And actually, I think that we can kind of segue just some opening thoughts on the future weeks. Florida, Vanderbilt, that's our tough games, right? Going down to the Swamp, people are always worried about that. I'm not, I mean, and like we started to talk about this with the members, you know what I mean? Like we broke down some film on Florida. I talked about it since Napier left. Some of the problems that I've seen for Tennessee versus their offense with Napier was all the misdirection, all the pre-snap movement. It was a lot more complicated than what it is now. Their interim head coach, he was with Urban Meyer at Florida. I'm seeing like a lot of that old school football stuff, and I hate saying it too loud because I don't want for them to change it, but it plays well into Tennessee's hand. Even going down to the Swamp, and you saw that they just got beat down yesterday. I don't know if DJ Lagway is going to be starting moving forward. I have no idea. Him, but also Nussmeier. I don't know why they didn't pull the plug on him earlier because the other quarterback is way better. But the whole point is that, like with Florida, are there some issues? Yes. Do I see it necessarily like some issues for our defense? No. It's going to be more issues with our offense, and we've touched on it for the members. Shout out to the members, but we will, once we get to the Florida week, we'll talk more about what I'm seeing some issues with and what maybe like concerns me some. But I feel like Tennessee should be able to win that football game. And then versus Vanderbilt, I mean, Vandy's Vandy. I hate to say it as a Tennessee fan, you know, I hate to say it like a fan, but it just is what it is, bro. Like they got to come to Neyland and they got to beat us. They're not more talented than we are. They do some tricky misdirection stuff, but it's just about playing disciplined football. They're not going to, I think we're going to be fine in that game. You know, it might be like last season where they start off doing some good things, and then once it settles into a game, it's no question that Tennessee's going to win. That's just how it goes. So, yeah, I feel like Tennessee should be able to win out, and that does bring us to this part of things, okay? Let's go ahead and pull this up. So this is number 5 through number 8 where Tennessee's at in the ACC rankings currently, all right? So talking about playoffs, people are saying, well, the SEC might get in 5 teams, so we got to get to top 5 for us to have a chance to make it to the college football playoffs. Now, y'all can see for each team, Texas is sitting at number 5. They got to drop 3 games. They got to lose all 3 of those games. So they got to lose at Georgia, which I could definitely see that happening. I could also see, I could also see them beating them. Then they got to lose versus Arkansas at home. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think it's very probable. And then they had to lose to A&M. That's also at home. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe they could drop 2, but they got to drop all 3, baby. Like, they got to drop every single one of those games. That's first and foremost. Then you got Vanderbilt. They just got to lose to us. You know, if they went out, then lose to us, puts us in a pretty good spot. If Texas loses out, loses every single ball game. And then Oklahoma, they got to lose 2. So they got to go to Alabama, coming off of a bye, then go to Alabama. I think that they could definitely lose that game. Then they got Mizzou. Mizzou don't look too good, man. Like, they're down to their 3rd string quarterback right now. That might be I don't remember watching the game yesterday. They might be close to like their fourth string. I don't know if that's going to happen, y'all. And they're playing that game at home. Can it happen for sure? Is it going to happen? I don't think so. But LSU, I could definitely see them losing to LSU. LSU's a talented team. Like we just talked about it. If they would have started the other quarterback over Nussmeier last night, I think they probably would have won. It just gets them so much better. But Brian Kelly, I've said it, so I don't think he's a very good coach, right? So it typically would mean, I had just thought about it last night, he probably isn't hiring very good coaches. Some of the stuff that they were doing they're trying too hard to stick to the run. They still have Perkins, number 7 on defense, playing true linebacker. Bro, let him rush the passer. Every time he rushes the passer, great things happen. This was a guy that before they started to drop him into coverage, I said, man, he has a chance to win the Heisman playing on defense. That's how dominant he is. So if they stop doing stupid stuff, I think that they could beat just about anybody. So Oklahoma has to drop 2. Tennessee has to win out. I think we have to look dominant doing it. You know, obviously this weekend we should look very dominant playing at home versus a team that's not anywhere near our level. Going down to the swamp. I hope that the players don't listen to all the fans just with these Jedi mind tricks of, there's no way that we can go down there and win. It's cursed and everything else. I hope that they don't hear that. I hope that that doesn't seep into them, because if they feel like they can win, then they should win. It doesn't really matter where the game's being played at. Really shouldn't. And then Vandy, like we got to be dominant in the swamp, and we got to be dominant versus Vandy. I think that we can do it. So that's how the first part of that looks. Well, let me show y'all some more. And actually, what I'm gonna do here is show y'all. This is a cool little website that I found just in doing a whole bunch of research. I'm gonna try to, once I get done with this stream, I'll go back and I'll plug the link for this website. But what you can do here is you can just pick games throughout the course of the season and find out who's going to be at the top of the conferences. I think it's just conferences. But right now, so you can see what the top of the ACC looks like. Okay, so right now, everything that's in like red and yellow, those are weird colors. I hate those. I hate that color combination. But that's who we have winning for this week, and then same thing for this week and that week. So in this week, man, we've got Alabama beating Oklahoma, Georgia beating Texas, LSU beating Arkansas, Missouri beating Mississippi State. Some of these games might not matter as much in the grand scheme of things. It might actually help us if Arkansas maybe beats LSU, but Ole Miss beating Florida. It would obviously help us if Florida beats Ole Miss, because those are teams that aren't on Tennessee's schedule. Then you've got A&M beating South Carolina. That one really doesn't matter, I don't think, either way. And then you've got us, obviously, next week beating Florida. We've got Mizzou beating Oklahoma. Arkansas's beating Texas. Okay. Vandy's beating Kentucky. And then in the final week, we got Ole Miss winning. Like I said, some of these games just really aren't going to matter for us, but A&M beating Texas, that's going to be big. Arkansas beating Mizzou, that's just the way that I have it kind of like slated out, which I think that could happen. Alabama's beating Auburn. LSU's beating Oklahoma, and then I have us beating Vandy. So then you can calculate how the standings look. It's pretty much what we just talked about. But here, like, I don't know how their algorithm's working, but I think that it is working. Puts us at number 5 in the SEC. All right, so this is just pretty much backing up everything that we just talked about. All right, so let me also show y'all this, okay? Let's talk about the ACC, okay? So we just talked about Tennessee in the SEC. Let's talk about the other conferences, because other things have to happen. So in the ACC, what we would need, I think, is for Georgia Tech to just win out. I think that you might need Virginia to drop a game. You're seeing their overall records is right here. Any team that's only lost 2 games, like, you want it to at least be the people that we're trying to beat out that have 3 losses. So you would say Virginia and Pittsburgh. You want for them to both lose 1. I think the best way for that to happen is probably Georgia Tech winning out. But you also have Miami. They need to lose another game. So just like most of these teams, especially if they're ranked over us, and there's only, 5 that's in the top 25 as far as, and I don't know if this is the same with the college football playoff rankings or not. I think that's just like AP rankings. But either way, like, you're seeing how the ACC looks from that standpoint. Now, let's move on to the next one, which is the Big Ten. This one gets tricky, because for the SEC to get in 5, that would mean that the Big Ten probably only gets in 3, and everybody else only gets in 1. I don't see that happening, y'all. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I just do not see that happening. But what we would need is Oregon has to beat USC. I think that game's coming up maybe this week, but I think that would be like the best case scenario. Go ahead and get USC to 3 losses, and then let Oregon be like that 3rd team. And then, I mean, I don't want to ever root for the Buckeyes, but we would have to root for them to beat Michigan. That might not happen. You still have Iowa kind of up there, but I think we should be fine over Iowa because they already have 3 losses. But y'all are already seeing that it's going to be a super uphill battle. Like, we need a whole lot of help for us to make it to the college football playoffs. And then we've got the Big 12 here. All right, so hopefully, let me make sure everything is still good. Okay, yeah, so everything's still good. So this is the Big 12. Not as many teams in the top 25 here. And actually, let me go back to the Big 10. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is what it looks like. So 7 right there. But for the Big 12, they only have 3. So BYU just lost to Texas Tech. BYU has to lose at least one more game, I think. And, you want for Texas Tech. And maybe it doesn't really matter if Texas Tech loses another one, but you just want for them to only be able to get in one program coming from their conference to the college football playoffs. Now, we have Notre Dame. Notre Dame's probably going to be getting in. That's just how things go. So this is their schedule. This is who they have left. And it's Pittsburgh. They could lose that game. That would be helpful. Syracuse and Stanford. I think that they're probably going to win all 3 of those games. So, I mean, look, they've only lost 2 up to this point. They might have to lose maybe 4 to not get in. That's just how it works. So it's just such an uphill battle, y'all. Like, it really, really is. And then looking at the SEC, there's a lot of teams here. I think we have like 9 teams in the top 25 here. And with the AP poll, with the CFP poll, it might be different. But we've kind of already talked about it. Obviously, it's a much tougher conference. It's a much tougher strength of schedule for all these teams. So maybe that helps us out, but I can't guarantee you that. So kind of like wrapping it up, I feel like it is such a long shot for Tennessee to make it to the college football playoffs. I would love it if we can. My only caveat to it is I'm not going to ever do anything that helps Georgia, especially with them peaking right now. I think that they're peaking at the right time. I don't want them to, it would be, great if they don't get in, but they probably will. But I don't want them winning a daggum national championship. So if that means that we have to drop a game, and this is just me personally, it's perfectly fine. And I totally get it. If you get angry or whatever that I'm saying this, but y'all do it the way that y'all want to do it. I see things the way that I see it. I would, at this point, with it being such a small percentage of a chance that we make it to the college football playoffs, I'll sacrifice a daggum loss if it hurts Georgia, okay? That's just me. But that's how much I can't stand them. There's no other team that I hate as much as Georgia. The only one that's close is the Saints. Okay, that's the only one that's even close in all of sports. I don't like Florida. I don't like Alabama. I don't like any other teams in the SEC, but I want for y'all to get this because some folks I know, I've seen some comments. People don't get it. We freaking hate Georgia with a furious passion. So with all that being said, let me go ahead and tap back into the chat, man. Sorry to keep y'all waiting, but I did want to get through like that first segment, and then we're going to move on to some NIL and revenue sharing stuff. Okay, so Joey for Heisman, yeah, I would love it if he could win it. I don't think that that's necessarily realistic, but I love the energy. Vandy is awful. They struggled against Auburn. I don't think that Vandy's awful. I think that this is me personally, I think that they are a good team. And I think that there can be like an in-between. Like teams can be, they don't have to be great or awful. They can be, hey, this is a pretty good football team, right? So I'm going to tell you, I think that Vandy's better than Oklahoma. Their defense isn't. But I think that if they were to play, Vandy would beat Oklahoma. Now, does that mean that it's a better matchup for Tennessee? Either way, not necessarily, because it's not always transitive, but it's just to say that this is the SEC. It's similar to the NFL. You'll see some of the top teams in the NFL lose to some of the lowest rated teams, just based off of power rankings in the NFL. It's just because everyone's good. You know what I mean? Anybody can get you on any given Saturday. But thank you so much for the chats, and do not be shy. You can keep on bringing them in. So, bro right here, he's saying that Joey can still do something special. Let's get that W in the swamp. All right, like that. So from Silly Bear, he's asking, do I think that we see changes with the defensive staff this offseason, or are the injuries enough to justify our lack of production and to give them another chance with better personnel? So I think that's a very interesting point that you're bringing up, because I'm not happy with what the defense did this season, but it is true that we've been kind of shorthanded. You have to keep that in mind. I think that it will get another chance. I actually think that as we're about to transition into NIL in the offseason and everything else, I think that you have to give Coach Banks more resources from like a personnel standpoint. And then if you've done everything that you can do and it still doesn't look any better, then yeah, at that point you want to try to make a change. And if you want to make the change now, I'm not for firing people necessarily, but if Coach Heupel feels like that's what he needs to do, just make sure that you're upgrading, baby. Like don't just go out and get somebody that's going to be just like Coach Banks. I'm pretty big on that, and it's not just with Coach Banks, it's with anything. We should always be trying to get better because we're not staying the same. If you're not getting better, then you're just getting worse. All right. So I'm gonna get to this one right here from my dog Chatsworth. Thank you as always, Chatsworth, for joining us. This one is saying that Texas is for sure losing to Georgia and A&M. Yeah, I mean, look, and I'm still going for Texas in that Georgia game. I don't care, bro. I'm going for Texas, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, it would probably be the best thing for our team. So I'm not going to be super upset, but I'm not going to be overly happy either if Texas, goes out there and loses to Georgia. All right, so what's going on, bro? Saying that got to take it one game at a time, and you never know what might happen. Get right, and let's see what happens. Go Big Orange. Love that. All right. Vote number 9. This one from Chatsworth is also saying that if Kentucky can blast Florida, we should at least be able to win by 7. Again, I mean, everything's not transitive, but I most definitely feel that energy. And folks were saying that, man, Coach Banks gave up all these yards to the Wildcats. And I've even seen some folks saying that they wanted Florida's DC over Coach Banks. Well, you saw what their DC did, right? I mean, the numbers looked about the same. It might have been worse for Florida, really. Like, you think about the way that they ran the football down Florida's throats. They could have thrown for a lot more yards, but their quarterback, they're starting to figure things out. And that just goes back to my point that this is really high-level competition. It's good coaches everywhere, okay? And it's not just going to be super dominant. People have to understand that if you can get to the playoffs and have that chance to be peaking at the right time, then that's really all that you can ask for, all right? But that's just me. Okay, so I'm going to move forward with this, y'all. Let's go ahead and start talking about NIL and revenue sharing, and then I'm going to get right back to the chat. So the first thing that I want to bring up to everybody is that NIL and revenue sharing are they're two separate things. You could look at it like it's two separate sources of income for our players, but they are different. The biggest difference is going to be that NIL doesn't come from the school, but revenue sharing does come from the school. So with NIL, that's donor money, that's booster money, or it's sponsorship money. Now, there's some caveats that we'll talk about here. But like with the sponsorship part of it, it could be from a school sponsor, or it could be from, hey, man, this player, he's got a really big name. He's a person we feel like we can market. He or she is a person we feel like we can market. So we want to pay them for their name, image, and likeness. It could be all of those things, right? It doesn't just have to come from one part of it. It could come from any of it. But that's how NIL looks from that standpoint. Now, how it works is once the contracts get up over $600, it's got to be processed through the clearinghouse. But they're not really scrutinizing stuff until it gets up over $1,000. And this is where we have like that cap that's being put in place by the college sports mafia, where the money that's coming from the donors and from the boosters, if it's over $1,000, then it has to be within what they're calling, the college sports mafia is calling, market value. Okay. And I don't know exactly what their algorithm is and how they're quantifying that, but what I would say, it's probably going to be based off of your social media following. So if you have, we'll call it like 1 million followers on all of your socials, then you can get really big NIL contracts because it meets the market value. Okay. But if it's, I mean, even if it's like 100,000, you could get a lot, but not as much as the people with like 1 million. But most players don't have that type of a following. So they're not going to be able to get marketed from that standpoint. Now, why Tennessee is going to be in such a good spot, y'all, is because we got the deal with the Three Stripes where they're going to be allocating funds to our NIL directly. And, Greg Sankey and the college sports mafia, that whole bunch, they damn sure ain't about to go tell any major corporation what they can do with their money because they know that they'll lose that. They know that if push comes to shove, they're going to make them look real silly in court. So that's how you can circumvent it, and that's how you can get more funds to the players' pockets. All right, so that's how that works. But I do think that our new contract with the Three Stripes, which will kick in, I think, maybe this summer, something like that, it's going to kick in at some point before next season starts for the football team. That's going to be a big influx of money. I'm going to show y'all how I think that that's going to look. So revenue sharing, okay? It is a separate thing, but it is still money going to our players' pockets. So how revenue sharing works is it's 20% or $20.5 million worth of a team's sports like revenue generated, right? Or of the revenue generated from a team's sports programs over a fiscal year. So if it was 20%, it would be about $40 million, which is why, and it's whichever one comes first, which is why most Power 4 programs go with the $20.5 million. I know that sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but relatively speaking, it should actually be more. That's going to end up going up at some point, probably after 3 or 4 years or something like that. But that's going to start, like those payments start on July the 1st of this year, okay? So, two separate things we broke down. I think we might need to start doing this every so often just so that people know, like understand NIL and revenue sharing. I know that there's constant changes to it, but we just want to keep people up to date with it. So, $20.5 million has to be shared with all of our sports programs. Again, same thing for most Power 4 teams. Okay? Football is going to get about 75% of that, which is $15.3 million. Now, what we've heard is that the NIL portion, which is that first $10 million, that's what I'm talking about there, right? So we're on that like little third tick mark, okay? That $10 million is half of what Tennessee had in NIL last season. Like we heard it from some of the insiders. Tennessee spent about $20 to $22 million on our roster for this year. So the anticipation is that every program across the country will be working with about 50% of what they had last season. So that drops us down from, we'll just call it $20 million to that $10 million. But then on top of that, baby, 3-stripe deal. I think another $10 million. And that, to me, might be kind of light. I would say at the lightest end of the spectrum, about $8 million. Okay, that's at the lightest. But it's probably going to be more than 10. That's just from like what I've heard per year. Okay, so we got that $10 million, okay, plus another 10, that's 20. Plus the 15.3, that's $35+ million that Tennessee's going to have. I would say just ballpark figure, okay, for us to work with on our 2026 roster. All right, so we're going to keep this thing moving. Now, hopefully y'all are able to kind of like keep up with all the numbers. I know that it's a whole lot of stuff. So with that $35+ million, what I did is I looked at what the NFL teams are doing with their salary cap, how they're allocating their funds. Doesn't mean that, and this is just based off of the averages because different teams will allocate funds to different spots on their team, just based off of what the mindset is of the head coach and so on and so forth. A lot of different variables, but working with the averages, Tennessee will be allocating about 52.5%, and that's not just Tennessee, but everybody across college football, if we're going off of the averages from the NFL, 52.5% of $35 million, $18.6 million being spent on the offense. Now, I don't think that at this point we need to really go and do too much of anything inside of the portal outside of probably a backup quarterback. Okay, I think that's the only real thing that we need to do inside the portal. Of course, we're going to be losing some players, so we'll have to go add other things. But just at this point, not a whole lot for us to have to add to our offense with all that money. But you do have to hold on to the players that you want, right? You have to, and this is, it's not just about the ones that we're adding. It's about who are we holding on to as well. Okay, so defense, about 45%. So that would be $16 million. We know that we need some defensive tackles, okay? We need at least one from the portal. And, of course, this is also with the 2026 class as well. But secondary, we need at least one safety. We also need to go out and probably get some more corners and some more star players just for depth. So we got to be able to spend a lot of money, I think, on defense. As we talked about, you got to give Coach Banks more help. Like you got to spend more money on that defense so that he has the tools necessary to be able to go out and give us a good defense. Now, special teams, that's only about 2.5%. I think that Tennessee does need one kicker. All right, so that would be about almost $900,000, okay? So that's how all that looks. Now, moving on, breaking it down, defensive special teams, that's on y'all's left, and y'all can see based off of what the players pay, how much money is going to be allocated to it. Again, working off of the same, how does the NFL do it, sort of a model. So for defensive ends on defense, 12% of the salary cap goes to them, $4.3 million for all of the players inside of that room. And we'll break down what the players are getting on average as well, just to show you the money don't stretch as far as you might think. Okay, so that's how that looks there. Y'all can see everything else is actually ordered based off of the most all the way down to the least. Offense, you're seeing the quarterbacks get about 12% of the roster. That would be $4.2 million for the room. We need at least 3 guys. You got to split that up 3 different ways. Of course, one guy, whoever the starter is, probably going to get the bulk of that money. So if you're thinking, hey, Tennessee should go out to the transfer portal, let's go get a starter, I'm about to show you why that's probably not the best idea. Okay, so getting to that now. These are the averages for the different spots on football teams, and this comes from ESPN. This is for college teams. All right, this is what ESPN says the averages are. Next to it, I'm showing you how much I think players will probably be getting, like the upper echelon players will be getting inside of this upcoming transfer portal window. Keep in mind, it's one portal. Players can transfer to and from SEC programs, and we're going to lose some guys, but we can also gain some guys. It's going to be a lot better, like quality player out there, but everyone's fighting for the same guys. So quarterback, they're going to, and that $3 million that I have there, probably going to go up higher than that. If you want like the top 2 or 3 guys, they're probably asking for close to $4 million, if not $5 million, inside of this portal. So that's a lot of money when you're talking about $35 million. That's a large portion of your salary cap, so to speak. You got to have other players. You can't just spend it all on quarterback. But so quarterbacks, they're getting anywhere from like $1 to $2 million. That's what ESPN says. Offensive tackles, y'all see what all the different ranges are. Now, what Tennessee's looking for? Defensive tackles, right? Well, we can start off with maybe even defensive ends. I think it's possible that we might need a defensive end, maybe. So somewhere around maybe $2 million if you want to go to the poll and add you a defensive end. All right, maybe even more than that. Actually, with quarterback, I think that we could probably get like a backup for close to about like $1 million. You're spending $1 million for a guy that's going to sit on the bench. Okay, I mean that's just how things go these days. As far as cornerbacks, right? We definitely need, I think, probably 2 of those guys. I'm thinking that we don't probably have to get like for corners, for wide receivers, for the spots where it's going to be a lot of players at. You can probably get a pretty decent discount, I think, because there's going to be so many guys. If you're not like within that top, it could drive the price down. I don't think that we need a super great, because I think we have 2 starting cornerbacks. So we got to get them paid. So they have to get that market value there, right? Because other teams will be offering that, will be offering them that. But you just need some guys as like depth pieces. So we could probably spend, if we go get 2 guys at corner, somewhere around, I don't know, I guess like 1.6 million or something like that. Defensive tackle, I think we need to go get a dude. So probably going to spend $1.5+ million there. And then as far as safeties, that's the first priority. Might be spending about $2 million there. Go get the best guy out there and have him be a surefire starter. And you might want to go add one more player as well, possibly. You could probably get them around $750,000 to $800,000. But y'all can see how all this looks, right? I mean, there are a lot of numbers that I added in here because I want for people to understand what we're talking about. Now, with all of that out the way, what's the game plan moving forward? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the game plan for this season? We know that playoffs is a long shot. You want to win every game. No questions asked. Definitely want to do that either way. But you also have to start to get ready for next year. So I think that you come out this week, it should be a huge week where the young players should be able to play a lot. I don't know if Coach Heupel's going to do this, but I would say like starters like a Joey Aguilar, right? He should only play for like 1 quarter. Then get in your backups. And I'm thinking GMAC, because I think that Merck's probably going to be transferring out. If the staff feels differently, then you got to let Merck get his shot and then let GMAC get his. But it's such a big week because we have to figure out, like, how much better have they gotten? And when I say we, I'm talking about the staff, obviously. How far have these players come since the start of the year? Where do we think that they'll be at, I would say by like spring camp? What do they need to work on? Do we feel confident? Do we feel comfortable enough that we don't have to go get a starting caliber quarterback? But I think that GMAC is going to show and prove that he is that dude. He's going to have to get bigger, for sure. But that's what the offseason's for. Get bigger, get stronger. But can he process? And if you can put him out there with some guys with a good offensive line, with some playmakers out there, we can really see what he's working with. And I think that it's worth it to try and get that figured out. But it's not just at quarterback. For me, it's in a lot of different spots. I think that we need to figure out how do we look, especially with our secondary, not just safety. But I would say that, some of the more like veteran safeties probably don't need to be playing as much. Figure out what the young guys look like. Because do we got to go get 2 guys from the portal at safety, or can we just get away with just 1? Because who are we going to pay to keep on this roster moving forward? What's the core of this team for 2026? But I would say at star for sure. Let those young guys that we haven't seen out there playing at star, let them get a lot more reps this week. And then figure out, can they play more next week? Versus Florida, versus Vandy. Like, we need a lot more depth there for sure. But, I mean, we've got to figure out who do we have. Maybe same thing at cornerback. I think that we've pretty much exhausted all of our defensive linemen. How do the young offensive linemen look? How do the young running backs look? How do the young, all we really got at wide receiver is Ra. We know how he looks. How do the young tight ends look? Like, we got to get those guys out there. They need to play a lot so that we know who we want to hold on to, because folks are going to be asking for more money. I think we'll probably have the deepest pockets probably of all college teams coming up in this transfer portal window. I think that we'll be perfectly fine to go out and get whoever we want to, hold on to whoever we want to. But you got to get that part of it right. You got to figure out who can help this team win next season. So that's pretty much where I'm at. That's to me really like, of course I want to beat Florida. Of course I want to beat Vandy. Of course I would love to keep up with the chances to make it to the college football playoffs. But I would just say that since the chances are so slim, I'm not fully moved on to next year, but I think that even the staff probably feels this way. Like Coach Heupel, he kind of hinted towards it. Yeah, we want to win out, but we got to be able to manage the roster and all that. We got to really look ahead. And if we get it right with all the money that we have, with all the talent that's going to be out there in that portal, this could be a totally different team. I mean, we could end up having the most talented roster in all of college football if we play it right. We could. So I feel confident from that standpoint. But let me tap back into the chat because I know that there's a few things that have come in, and I do want to tap back in with what everyone's saying. Fingers crossed. Okay. All right. So Tay, he's saying that we're cooked. I think he's talking about the playoff stuff. I think so too. Yes, sir. FUGA all day, every day. Yeah, for sure. Gilead saying that he hates Georgia as well. Hey man, look, we can be best buds now. You know what I'm saying? Like we could be the best of friends. I love that type of energy. I just think that people who hate Georgia totally get life. I think they've got it figured out. But right here saying that Bama and Georgia are top odds for sure. Yeah, I can't stand Bama either. I was really hoping they would have lost that game last night. Even if it hurts us, I mean, I'd just rather see them. But again, because the chances of us doing much with this season, it's just so slim. Of course, I want to win out. I want to go to a good bowl game and all of that. Play for the pride. But I mean, I really don't want Alabama and Georgia showing that, oh, hey, these guys are back, because that's going to hurt us moving forward. You know what I mean? Like players will keep on choosing them. All right, so William, he's saying that Auburn played their best game last night. Yeah, I think that Auburn looked good. Obviously, that's another team that came out with a different quarterback, and it obviously helped them out. It's just some of the stubbornness, and I think that's a really good point too. So just like talking about the different quarterbacks playing, and we're seeing how much better they look, how much more energized these teams are whenever the backup quarterbacks come in. I mean, think about it, and this is not by any means taking a shot at Joey when I say this, but just think about, just have more of an open mind for next year. Hey, maybe, just maybe, GMAC can be really good. Maybe he is really good, and he just hasn't seen the field yet. Maybe he's just not fully ready yet, but he can be there by next season. Maybe the ceiling actually increases, which is what I think personally. All right. So let me pull this. Okay, sorry about that. That's the one that we had already gotten to. So this right here, saying that he thinks that Heupel needs to keep Joey as an assistant of some kind to mentor the next two quarterbacks. Yeah, I could see that too. I could see that too. And I mean, I'm sure that Joey has aspirations of going on and playing at the next level. And I think that if you have a dream, you should always go after that dream, especially with these young people. Man, go after those dreams, because you're not, like the older that you get, you don't really have those opportunities, especially with sports. Very small window. So if he can do that, that would be great. But I would always keep the door open for any former players to come back and be a part of our staff, because you know that they will be fully vested. They should fully get it. And that can also help them moving forward with maybe being coaches. You know what I mean? Which could be a really, really good life. It's tough being a college coach. It's tough being a high school coach. But maybe they could work themselves up to being NFL coaches. But I think that's a great idea. You bring back a Joey Aguilar who's already older, let him mentor and all that. I'm just not sure if he would be willing to or ready to do that immediately after finishing here at Tennessee. And as we've said before, I don't know how realistic the chances are that he will come back. I don't think that it is very realistic, because I haven't seen any movement from like a court standpoint with Joey. But maybe he could come back. From what I've read and from what I've seen, he's played 3 years of like JUCO sort of football, unless one of the other years at like a smaller school, that counts, which to me it shouldn't. But I don't know. The whole point is still kind of like a long way to go with that. But I would love to see him come back and help get our young quarterbacks right. Why can't Joey go to the league? So for me personally, I'm not saying that he can't go. I don't think that he's very much of an NFL quarterback. Like NFL quarterbacks, number one, their skill sets are really high as far as the arm strength and different things. I think that Joey is pretty close to being that, maybe like a prototype backup. But I don't know that from like a field scanning standpoint, if he's on that level. Now, you can always get better at it, for sure. I never want to come out and say that, well, these guys that go to the NFL, they're totally finished products, because that's not the case. You should be getting better every single year. But I don't necessarily see him being an NFL quarterback. Just like with some of the deeper passes that he throws, I know that it seems like, well, he's underthrowing this, and it actually ends up working out. But I just don't. I think that he has a pretty big arm, but I don't think it's NFL big arm. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that it's might not be strong enough for the NFL because those guys you're expected to be able to scan the entire field, everything, and be able to hit the people that are open anywhere on the field. It's a different sort of skill set. You know what I mean? But I hope that he does make it for sure. He's too old and unskilled. That's another part of it. They don't like older players. The NFL they don't want to work with older players, so that could hurt them. Yeah, that's a fact. So this one unskilled is crazy. Well, yeah. So unskilled is not what I meant. So I know that I read that off. I'm not saying that Joey is an unskilled player, but I think that to the chat's point here, I think that he's saying that there's a difference in being skilled for college and skilled for the NFL. And there's actually a gigantic difference when it comes to that. Like that is the toughest, I think, and I never played NFL ball, but just from watching it, just from talking to, just from talking to people who made that transition from college to the NFL, that's probably the biggest jump. That is a huge, huge, huge jump because everybody's really good. That like that's the best of the best of the best of the best. So yeah, I would say that I don't know that his skill set is I'm not gonna say that it's not good enough to play NFL ball. I'm just not sure I don't think that he would get drafted. He'd have to get picked up as like a free agent, I think, and then he would have to like earn his stripes. That's just the way that I see it, and I hope that I'm wrong on that. So, Dog is saying that Tennessee Vandy should be over the Iron Bowl for the 2:30 ABC slot. It probably won't be. It probably won't because but like those games I know that maybe like looking at Alabama seems really good and Auburn doesn't, but it's been so many years when it was like that either way, and it turns out to be a really really good game. It's kind of like Oklahoma versus Texas, bro, which you should know all about. It doesn't too much matter how things look coming into it, right? It's just such a like intense rivalry that it's always a really really good game. And I would rather it be a noon game. I think Tennessee plays better at noon personally. I think we practiced earlier. I'd rather just get it out the way. Now, I mean, look, Neyland's gonna be rocking period versus Vandy. At least it should be. But yeah, that type of stuff doesn't really matter to me personally. I know that there are a lot of fans that well, when's the game gonna be played and stuff. I don't really care. I just want to win. All right, Joey definitely has the talent. Okay, so you think that he has the talent to be an NFL quarterback? All right. So this right here saying he's skilled but not skilled enough. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I think that we're saying the same thing there. He has to be skilled and young. Okay. All right. So Dog, he's saying that Tennessee needs Arkansas and South Carolina early in the season case y'all will be starting a redshirt freshman or a freshman. Yeah, I think that would most definitely help. I think that that's a good point. Like you want to try to, and not to say that any SEC games are going to be easy because it's all going to be relatively difficult. But yeah, I would definitely say that you want to let those young quarterbacks figure things out. Let them start to find their groove, find their rhythm 100%. Now, I know that we got the first game is who's the first game? The first game is somebody that's not very good, but then the second game is versus Georgia Tech. I think it's at Georgia Tech too. Could be off on that, but either way, yeah. I mean, they're gonna have to be ready for that because Georgia Tech plays pretty good defense. But I think that that's a pretty good, not really like a warm up game, but I think that that's a pretty good test to figure out what all do we need to get fixed moving forward for like SEC play stuff. All right, so this one's saying that he is excited to see what GMAC and Merck can do Saturday for sure. Hopefully, we don't just go super basic on offense while they're playing. Yeah. So this is, and that's an excellent point too. I want for them to. I mean, look, you don't want to try to like run the score up, but you do want to figure out what you have. The best way to do that is by giving them like a full playbook within what they can operate and seeing what they can do. That's the only way that you're going to figure it out. So I think that that's an excellent point. Yep. So this one right here saying that James Pierce is going out right now. Yeah, man. So I know that he had a sack earlier. James Pierce is going to be a freaking problem. I think this is a perfect city for him too. I just think that I think that it fits his personality well. He's going to have to try to stay out of trouble, which that's any city that you go to. And not to say that he's a bad player or anything like that. It's just I think that he's going to be really good for our Falcons. I love how the pass rush is looked for the most part. We need some more linebackers. And I was thinking about Perkins. Shoot, would you bring in a Perkins from LSU? As a guy that actually looks pretty good playing at stand-up backer, but he's just so much better as a pass rusher. Is he a guy that maybe we could add? But yeah, you always love to see former Vols having a beautiful day, man. Love those guys. So from Chatsworth, okay. So he's saying that it's fine by him if we slot a little more cash over to basketball. Yeah. So I think that right now basketball's roster, and y'all have watched them play. Like saw them, they looked a lot better yesterday too. Obviously, it's not the best competition, but I just think like as a team, looked a whole lot cleaner. But we spent a lot of money on that roster, and I think that it's already showing. We are super deep, and once they start to gel, that basketball team is going to be a major problem. But I love all the sports at Tennessee. I want them all to do well, but we do have to understand that there is going to be a limited amount of resources for us to work with. We got to really spend that on the major sports, football and basketball first. And I think that everything, everybody else, they get what's left over. And I mean, men and women's basketball. You know what I mean? I think that everyone else kind of has to like take what's left over, if that makes sense. Because if the football and basketball teams, especially football, if that's doing well, everyone else is going to do well. Especially once it turns into, hey, you can really do 20% of the revenue that the sports have generated. Well, the more money that the football team makes, the more money that everybody gets. That's why I hate the caps. Hate them with that passion. All right. So this one from All Vols Talk Show. Appreciate you for joining us. Can we still make the playoffs? Great show so far. Sorry if you went over. Yeah. So I don't know exactly when this chat came in. I can't see the times. But yeah. So we already talked about it. There's a chance, right? There's always a chance that anything is possible. But I think I would say that it's a very small chance. And obviously, after this week, the chances will either go up if everything goes right, or they're going to go down to almost zero. If Texas wins one game, there is pretty much no more chance for Tennessee to make it to the college football playoffs. So this one, and also Max Gilbert needs to be, excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. Sorry, y'all. Dang, sorry about that, y'all. But yeah, I'm on the same page with you. I think that, and I hate calling guys out. I do. But even, it's funny. We was chilling with one of P's old teammates last night, and he's watching, watching Vandy play, and I just think that, listen, if you played football, or sometimes even like if you coached it or whatever, you understand that kickers, they do one thing, that's kick. They might do some of like the like working out, some of that type of stuff too. Like P said that his kickers did, my kickers didn't. They didn't do anything except for kick. But it's just like, dog, like you really have one job and everybody else is grinding and struggling and fighting and sacrificing our lives on almost every single play. And you can't do the job after we, sacrifice so much for almost 60 minutes. Yeah, I do have a problem with that. And I would like to get somebody that I feel like is more clutch. That's just me. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say that, y'all. But I think that we all want to win. And like we have to make some tough decisions sometimes. And that's something else. And I think that we kind of touched on that. And I'm gonna come right back to this. I think that we kind of touched on it, that some players on this current team that have been here for however long, doesn't matter. They might have to take a pay cut to stick around because we're trying to upgrade talent, And it's just like that's how we have to be. That's just how we have to be. Like this is a true business now, So some folks will have to figure out, and I don't know if the staff will do this, but they should. They'll have to figure out, hey man, am I willing to maybe take a pay cut here so that we can bring in more talent? Maybe even not at the position that you play, but maybe in some like other spots that will help you to look better, that could get your draft stock higher because you've got a better like cast around you. I think that that's a good way maybe that we could look at it, right? But yeah, I mean, like we have to make those types of calls, man. That just has to happen. And I would love for Coach Hopper to go get like a true GM. That's the type of stuff. Like whenever I say he needs to allocate things to some different places, I don't mean play calling personally. I mean, brother, have someone that can look at the roster for you, that can just like, hey, coach, this is what we're looking at. Like, well, or coach, hey, tell me what you want to do. All right, like tell me what your vision is, and just let me work through. Let me crunch all these numbers, and just let me bring you a very like itemized statement of, hey, boom, 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 sign off on this or say yay or nay. Because we don't want you having to waste up too much time on this stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get him to, like delegate some of that type of stuff somewhere else. Okay, sorry, I said I was going to come back to this. Sorry about that. So Jake will not leave. He's a Vol. Okay, hey man, you know what? You could be 100% right on that. You could be right, and we haven't talked too much about. You know what? What if Jake does stick around? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do things look from that standpoint? Because that answers a whole lot of questions. Would you maybe say, hey Jake, why don't you stick around, brother, and we'll give you like an extra $500,000 because that might actually save you some money. Somebody who knows the system well. Hey, we'll give you an extra 500,000. Stick around. And you can fight for the starting spot. You have every opportunity to be able to win this thing out. And if not, hey, you can be that mentor. We're going to make you look really good, so on and so forth. I don't know that Jake wants to do it because I haven't talked to him, but it's possible that he does. That would really be a great situation. Personally, I think so. Definitely need a kicker. Yeah. For my dog, J Pat's going on, bro. He's saying FUGA all day, every day, and twice on Sundays. Love that energy, big dog. Am I going to the Tennessee Vandy game? I'm not going to be going to that game. No. I will not be there, but for whoever is going, make sure that y'all get it loud. Help us win. Dog saying that game might not be on YouTube TV, Tennessee Vandy. Okay. So maybe that's what you were talking about. Okay. But shoot, man, like I have YouTube TV. I haven't really been able to watch any of that stuff. I've had to figure out some different things. But yeah, that's true. That would suck. Having to find a stream for the games. That definitely sucks. Williams saying that you hate Georgia but like the Falcons. Well, I'm from the A. I am from the A. So yes, born and raised here in the A, and this is a different. It's a little bit different because I guess it's more of like a transient city. But typically, you don't see a whole lot of folks from the city that are like big Bulldog fans necessarily. I mean, you will see some, but you'll see fans from everything down here because it is so transient. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of everything that comes from Georgia except for the Bulldogs. You're damn right. I can't stand them because I grew up as a Tennessee fan having to listen to that crap all the time, and I'm sick of it. I'm totally sick of it. So from your boy Zeus, he's saying he's going to the Vandy game to watch us play. Spoiler to Vandy's season. Sounds weird to say it out loud. Yeah, it is. It's a totally different situation. And I wouldn't be surprised if that coach ends up getting a job somewhere else because he's done a great job with the talent that he's had to work with. JT is cooking y'all. Damn. I don't know if you're talking about the Falcons or what. All right, so because everyone in the SEC is getting non-conference games next year, do I think that that'll hurt the SEC and get less playoff contenders in? I think that it could. I definitely do. I think that was a dumb move. I don't know how much money they got out of it, but I don't think that they could have got more. They should have got more because, I mean, bro, like 8 SEC games, you can play 5 SEC games and it's more difficult. You can play 4 SEC games and it's more difficult than what every other conference is doing right now. The Big Ten is a joke. They've got 4 or 5. They've got 2 good teams, and then everyone else, I'd say maybe from 3 to maybe 4 or 5, they're pretty good teams, but everybody else flat out freaking sucks. Flat out freaking sucks. The Big 12, everyone sucks there pretty much. The ACC, it's not very good. The SEC, you got like 10, you got more than that. Like everybody's good. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's good inside of this league. So yeah, I'm on the same page with you. All right, so Kevin Smith, he's saying that Jake is gone. Okay. Yeah. I mean, probably I'm still kind of like leaning more towards he's probably gone, but I don't know. I mean, crazier things have happened. So this one's saying that Merck can't play, move on from him. I'm not going to say that he can't play. I just, maybe he had kind of a down year. He could always come back and look totally different next season. Yeah. Falcons all day long, baby. You already know. So from Brian, offense ain't the problem. Need to load up on defense. Yeah, I don't think that. I think that like from a talent standpoint, yeah, the offense should be fine, for sure. But as we get like deeper into the season, as we come up closer on obviously the Florida game, the Vanderbilt game, I'm gonna tell you that I do have some concerns with our offense. There's some things that we have to fix from a scheme standpoint. There's some things that I think Joey needs to be better at, and I'm not just picking on Joey because everybody can be better, but just with these games. Just with what we've seen here recently, that part of it, our running game, and then Joey as far as the processing and taking care of the football, that concerns me more than anything else. Just me personally. Okay, so this next one from L. Davidson. Okay, so vote for Afton Bean for House of Rep. I don't know what the hell all that is, but we're not about to be doing all that on this channel, sir. All right, so Jonathan Taylor. Okay, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about there. Thank you so much, Matt. All right, so this one from Dog, he's saying that we play a Georgia Tech team that will probably be ranked in the top 20. Yeah, and they should be losing that quarterback, but they have a good coach. They have a really good coach. I really like that dude. So from Brian, he's saying that safety dog and another linebacker dog is what we need. Yeah, I actually think that looking at the linebacker room, I think that we've got some good young talent coming up. That it's just guys that have to gain the weight and all of that. You know what I'm saying? But I think that we're going to be perfectly fine at linebacker. But could you maybe add another guy? Sure. Safety, no question. Like you got to go add. I still think two guys. One guy that is the best out there. Go get the best safety that money can freaking buy. I don't care. I don't care. Go do it, and then see if you can add like another guy for depth purposes. I think that that's totally necessary. But star is big too. How do the young stars look? That's a huge part of this. If our young stars show up and say and show us that they can play football we say, hey man, like they look good as true freshmen because that's who's going to be playing mostly, right? If you're not playing JMac, I think Boo's done. Those true freshmen, how are they looking? Do we have to go out? Like, are we sure that we need to go add somebody else, or is that a starter, or is that somebody that's going to be fighting for starting time? I mean, all that type of stuff makes a huge difference. Huge difference. All right, so our 2026 schedule and my thoughts. Yeah, so I think that we have looked at that. Let me see. I think that I actually have it in here somewhere. Let me see. Do I still have it? Okay, so yeah, I can actually pull that up real quick. But I think that we have done that, but we can do it one more time real quick. So Furman, that's the first game. Obviously, we should be fine there. Georgia Tech, we'll see how the rosters look for both of these teams. I mean, it's going to be totally different. Like the haves could turn into the have-nots and vice versa. So really don't know. But at this point, right, I'd say that that's a game that Tennessee should win. It's at Tech. Just stay out of trouble, because there's a lot of stuff to do down here. Players know that. And it'll probably be a really good game because we have like a lot of players from the state of Georgia. I think that outside of Tennessee, most of our players are from the state of Georgia. So I think that they'll want to play well. I love that stadium too. Like I love Georgia Tech Stadium. I love the city, like you can see downtown in the background, you know what I'm saying? I really like their campus too. I think that we're going to just have really good energy in that game. I think that we're going to play well. But then, we got Arkansas. We don't know how they're going to look. Obviously, Taylor Green's going to be gone. But always tough going to Fayetteville as this Tennessee struggles going there. South Carolina, that one could be tough. Their team's kind of young right now, but they got some dudes. They got a whole bunch of dudes. I don't really like their coach. I can't stand their coach, but we're going there. That's a tough place to play at. Alabama, we already know. We know how that goes. Auburn, probably going to be tough. Kentucky, I mean, look, y'all, it's a tough schedule. I mean, like I can sum it up just by saying that it's a tough schedule. It's easier in 26 than it is in 27 because most of those tougher games are going to be at home. So Neyland's got to be a big time factor, but it's just like a lot tougher than this year's schedule was. So we have to have a completely different team or just upgrade, I would say, our team. All right, so let me come right back. Yeah, man, we got some great ones coming in. We got some great ones here, man. We just got to hold on to them. I think that y'all passing age is fun running. Okay, so maybe like passing game is fine. Okay. Banks is good until it's on the line. Yeah, I mean, I just think that I don't know, man. I from like a scheme standpoint, from like looking at that part of it, I can tell what Coach Banks is trying to do. I just think that we haven't really fully had the personnel to execute as well as we want to. That's just how I feel. But if we are going to upgrade, then man, like let's go upgrade for real. Like let's go get somebody. If that is what we're going to do. All right, so from William, he's saying that he would load up on secondary in the offseason. Yeah, the secondary, it's not enough players there. We're going to get to these last three that I'm seeing right now, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. Yeah, man. I think that everybody needs to be, though, because everyone's going to be losing players, and everyone is going to have to go out and add some new ones. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's a fact for everybody. Who can do it the best? I think Tennessee's going to have the deepest pockets. All right, so what's my connection to the University of Miami? Oh, okay. I don't have one, but I used to live there. So that's my favorite place on the face of the planet. Okay. I love South Florida, especially Dade County, Broward County. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Okay, so we just got this one right here. So I think that Boo made a business decision. Yeah, I think that the staff probably did, in all honesty. Okay, so I'm just gonna get to these last two, and then that's it. So from Dawg saying that the running scheme for Tennessee has not been good because there's no more wide splits. I think that's a big part of it. I think that they have to figure out how to run without the wide splits. And I think that we have the talent to be able to get things blocked, but either we're missing who we're supposed to block too often, or we need to just find a better way to get things blocked. And I think that's something that we broke down before. All right, so this is the last one right here, y'all. Sorry, y'all, but sorry, but I do have to go. It's actually my nephew Bray. His birthday is coming up, so I have to get ready to go, celebrate with him. But this one right here is saying that Boo's got to go. He's been given chance after chance, and he's chosen to not give his all for Tennessee constantly. Yeah, look, you are right on that. I wish him well. I wish all these players well because, like, as a young person going through stuff, people mess up. I wish that he would have handled things differently, but it is what it is at this point. So that's going to wrap it up, y'all. We will be back tomorrow, okay, with some more thoughts on things and all that. But thank y'all so much for joining us. Y'all please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and we will be talking to you.